Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. It's your girl OG Chizzy Beats. So first of all, I just want to say thank you guys so much. We have hit 5,000 subscribers on this channel and I am so thankful for each and every one of you guys. But in this video, we are following up last Tuesday's Toxic Tuesday with another instance of Toxic Tuesday. And today we are covering the Prince of Toxicity, Brent Faiyaz. So if you guys are interested in seeing how I'm gonna make a beat for Brent Faiyaz, something similar to his song Lost Kids Gets Money on his F the World album, go ahead, keep watching, leave a comment and hit the like button because that helps out the channel so much. And without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into the cook-up. All right, y'all. So when it comes to making Brent Faiyaz type of beats, I feel like it's very important to kind of realize and recognize the type of beats that Brent is singing on. So what I noticed from listening to his last album, F the World, and a lot of the singles that he's been putting out ever since, a lot of his beats are kind of very whimsical, almost dream-like, like an enchantment kind of ambient type of feel. So to create that means you're gonna have to use like a lot of different textures and create kind of like moments and sounds and textures that flow well together. So to start off that process, the first thing I did is choose out a sound that I like, and I used this bell sound from the 7/6 Collective's Ethereal one-shot kit, and it's called Choice, and it sounds like this. And I built out this very simple chord progression. So even though I just said like this is a very simple chord progression because I'm only using 2 chords, I can't accurately like tell you what this first chord is. I just know that this is in G minor, and I just started clicking and clicking notes in that I thought sounded good and came up with this first chord that sounds like this. And then for my second chord, I do know what this is actually. This is an F# minor 7th chord, and you know that because it has the 2-3-2 spacing. And then again, I just went back to that first chord, and then I went back to the second chord and just added an octave of the F#, which just means that I took the root note and I put it back up here. So all together, this is what the chord progression sounds like. So I really like that, and I knew it would be a great foundation for this beat. So what I did was I took these chords, used the same sound, and copy and pasted them into a new instance and hit Alt S, which is the strumizer, to extremely strumize this chord. And this created like a great ascending and descending like progression, and this is what it sounds like. So yeah, I really liked how that sounded, and I'm like, this is starting to feel a little bit like a Brent Faiyaz type beat. And what I added to this sound to get that effect was I just used a fruity stereo enhancer on the default, and then I added fruity reverb just to give it some spacing. So once I had that, I knew that I wanted to build the rest of this beat by kind of just taking those chords and layering it up. So what I did is I went back into that one-shot kit and chose out this bell sound called Sprites, and using the same chord progression, this is what it sounds like. So I really like that a lot, and the effects that I added to this was adding a fruity delay and turning it down quite a bit, and then adding a fruity reverb too, again just to give it some spacing. So together with the first melody, this is what the beat was sounding like so far. So I really liked how that sounded, and at this point I started to get an idea in my head of a bass guitar line. So if you listen to Brent's music, you know that like a bass guitar is in almost all of his beats. So what I decided to do was use this bass guitar that came out of that same one shot that I've been talking about, the ethereal one shot, and I came up with this bass line pattern. I basically followed a lot of the notes within the chords that I had built, but I obviously added a little bit more just to give it some bounce. And a tip that I'll have for building out a bass line is that some patterns that are good to start off with is this first pattern that I have right here. Go ahead, take a screenshot, stop, do whatever to kind of pick up this pattern right here. But a lot of people use it often whenever they're making like a bass guitar type of progression. And this is what it sounds like. And the second one that people use often is this like double stab that you hear quite often in R&B music. So all together, this is what my bass line sounds like. So yeah, I was very, very happy with that because I feel like I struggle often with bass lines. And the effects that I added to this was that I added a fruity multi-band compressor on the crazy bass preset, and that just kind of like gives the bass some umph to it. And then I added fruity blood overdrive again to add some umph, and I turned up this preamp. So together with the other elements of the beat, this is what it's sounding like so far. So at this point, I knew that I basically had the core beat figured out. It's just a matter of layering and adding ear candy. So the first thing I did was that I went into Analog Lab and I chose out this sound that I've used in the past in other videos. It's called Girls Like ARPs, and it sounds like this. And I just took the chords that I initially showed you guys and put them right here, and this is what it sounds like. The next element that I added to this was again kind of like an ARP sound from a one-shot kit that I have called Aperture, and this is what it sounds like. And as you can see, it kind of takes some notes that I showed in the chord progression, but not all of them. And this is what it sounds like. And the effects that I added to this was just Pancake 2, and I turned down the mix a little bit, and I just wanted to add this because it really adds some movement to the beat by panning it from ear to ear. And then the last layer that I added to this was another bell sound called Ethereal from the Ethereal Bank. And what I did again was take those same chords and I moved them over a little bit just to add like another pattern to this beat. And what I did is that I strummed it again so it sounds a little bit different, and this is what it sounds like. So together with the other elements, this is what the melody was sounding like so far. So I was really feeling how this beat was sounding. I was like, Brent is going to bring the toxicity to this. But what I knew I needed to add was some more pieces of ear candy just to spice up this loop. So the first thing that I did was back into the one-shot kit called Aperture. And I chose this pluck sound that kind of sounds like a little bit like an electric guitar and came up with this very, very simple melody that sounds like this. And I really like how that sounded, and I wanted to layer it with another sound. So I went back into that one shot and chose out this sound called Walkie Talkie. And this is what it sounds like. And then the next element of ear candy that I added was this synth sound called Manifestation. And I just made this very, very simple pattern, just 2 notes just to add some ear candy. And this is what it sounds like. And then the very last piece of ear candy that I added was this guitar sound again from that one-shot Aperture that I have. And this is what it sounds like. So all together with the ear candy, this is what the loop sounds like so far. So at this point, I was very, very happy. But one thing that you'll notice in a lot of Brent Faiyaz's songs is that he uses either his vocals or somebody else's vocals to really fill up that dead space. And it's almost an essential part of all of his beats. So I went back into that one shot and I found this vocal chop called Little Melodies, and I added it, and this is what it sounds like. So yeah, I really liked how simple and like the swelling and everything like that sounded like. So what I did is that I went to the mixer and I added Fruity Flangus because Fruity Flangus sounds really good on vocals. So I added that and turned it down quite a bit. Then I added Ambience, which is a free reverb plugin, and I turned it down quite a bit and left it at its default. Then I went into Gross Beat and I put it on sidechain A and turned the volume down so it kind of like makes this wavy pulsing effect to the vocals. Then I added this free plugin called Micro Finisher and I put it on this preset called Earth Piss, Earth Sis. I have no idea what it's actually called, but I like how it sounded, and that's the effects that I added to this vocal chain. So now all together with all the elements, this is what the melody sounds like. So yeah, at this point, I was vibing hard. Like, if you're telling me that you can't hear Brent Faiyaz on this, then you're lying, and I don't know why you're lying. But yeah, so once I had that, I decided to move on to my drums. So I'm not gonna lie, there are a lot of sounds here, and it looks kind of intimidating, but I added a lot of sounds because, again, I'm trying to get that ambient feel. So you got to really kind of spice it up with a lot of textures. So I'm going to play this drum pattern for you guys first, and then I'm going to break down every element. Yeah, so I really liked how that sounded. So the first element that I added was this perk loop that sounds like this. And then I added this other perk loop that sounds like this. So once I had those first two perk loops to add some texture, what I did was I went in and added this kick that sounds like this. Then I went in and added this clap, and this is what it sounds like. And what I did is that I layered it up with this rim. And then I decided to layer it up one more time with this perk sound that sounds like this. So once I had my clap figured out, I moved on to my hi-hats. And for my hi-hats, I kept it pretty simple. I basically have a fill every two pattern, which is just having a note, a hat hit on every note. But here I took this out, and as you can see, I messed with the velocity a little bit and added a little bit of a roll here. So altogether, this is what my hi-hats sound like. All right, so from here out, there's just going to be me saying perk a lot. So just brace yourself. So here I added this perk, and it sounds like this. Then I went ahead and added this perk. Then I added this open hat. Then I added this perk. Then I added another perk. Then I added another perk. And then I added one more perk. So yes, that's a lot of perks, but I felt like every single perk was necessary to kind of add to that vibe that I was trying to create. And then the last drum element that I added was this tom drum, and I really like it because it ends the phrase and leads back into the next one, and I just love it a lot. So this is what it sounds like. So yeah, that is the whole beat. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. I enjoyed making this beat. Again, thank you guys so much for 5,000 subscribers. I appreciate you guys more than you know. And if you enjoyed this video, leave a like, leave a comment. Let me know what you want to see down below. And I will see you guys in the next video.
Chizzy.